The first thing the crowd heard was her scream. Not soft, not weak. It tore through the square like something breaking inside a human body. "Please, he's still breathing, someone help me," people laughed. Some whispered, some just watched. Red dust clung to her knees as Octavia Blackwell pressed both hands against her husband's chest, her fingers slipping in blood that would never wash out. The Wyoming sun burned above them, cruel and bright as if the sky itself didn't care. "Look at her," someone muttered. "Too late," another said. "She let him die." Octavia didn't hear them, she counted. 1, 2, 3, breathe. Her voice cracked, her hands shook, but she didn't stop. Meisha stared at the sky, not at her, not at anything. His lips moved, but no sound came out. The miners stepped back, work done. Death was a woman's burden now. Octavia tore her dress, pressed cloth into wounds that would not close, bones showed, blood kept coming, too much, too fast. Her training whispered the truth. Her heart refused to hear it. "Stay with me," she begged. "Stay with me, Meisha's." His hand found hers, cold, too cold. "Deed," he whispered. Blood touched his lips. "Hidden blood vault, trust Sela's." "Don't talk," she said, forcing strength into her voice. "Save your strength." Crimson Spring, he knows, Caspian knows, his grip tightened. "Don't trust," and then nothing. His hand fell, his chest stopped. The world went silent. Octavia kept pressing, kept counting. Kept breathing for a man who was already gone. The crowd drifted away. No one helped. No one stayed, only the wind and the smell of blood. An hour passed, then another, until even hope gave up. Octavia finally stopped. She sat in the dirt, covered in red, staring at the man she loved, and she didn't cry, not yet. Instead, she made a promise, a quiet one, a dangerous one. "I will not break." Because this land broke women. It crushed them slowly, turned them into ghosts. Octavia Blackwell would not become one. She stood, walked back to town, spine straight, head high. And 3 days later, Caspian Blackwell wrote to her, not about his brother, not about grief, about the land. That was the moment she understood. Her husband hadn't been buried yet, and already the vultures were circling. 3 years later, they tied her to the blood wheel, 12 feet tall, old iron, stained with years of suffering. The kind of place where justice didn't live, only punishment did. The ropes bit into her wrists, her arms stretched wide. The sun burned her skin. The crowd gathered, watching, judging, enjoying. Caspian Blackwell stood above them all, dressed in black, calm, perfect, cruel. "This woman," he said loudly, his voice cutting through the square, "let my brother die." Murmurs spread like fire. Octavia lifted her head. "That's a lie." Her voice was raw but strong. "I tried to save him. I did everything I could." Caspian didn't look at her. He looked at them, the crowd. "They always say that," he smiled. "But the truth is simpler. She wanted his land, and when he stood in the way, she let him die." Gasps, whispers, judgment. "I loved him," Octavia said, her voice breaking now. "Where were you, Caspian? Where were you when he needed you?" For a second, just one, something flickered in his eyes, then it vanished. "I was working," he said smoothly. "Providing for this town, unlike you. Lies, clean, easy, believable." Judge Mordain slammed the gavel. "The land is transferred to Caspian Blackwell." Just like that, gone, her home, her life, her proof. "You can't do this," Octavia said. Caspian stepped closer, close enough for only her to hear. "You have 2 choices," he whispered. "Walk away quietly, or I make sure you leave with nothing." Octavia met his eyes, ice cold. "Do your worst." Caspian smiled. "Leave her," he said, "until sunset." And just like that, they abandoned her. The crowd walked away, one by one, people she knew. People she had helped, people who owed her. They all looked away, even her father. "Pa," she whispered, "tell them the truth." He didn't move, didn't speak, just turned and walked away. That hurt more than the ropes, more than the sun, more than everything. Because that was the moment she understood something worse than cruelty: silence. Silence destroys just as much. Hours passed, pain blurred into heat, heat into exhaustion. She could barely breathe. And then hoofbeats, slow, steady, different. The kind of sound that makes people stop. The kind that doesn't belong. The rider appeared, black horse, dark coat, face hidden, but something about him, something wrong, not human. He didn't rush, didn't hesitate. He walked straight to her, looked at the ropes, then at her. "How long?" he asked. His voice was rough, ancient. "Long enough," she said. He drew a knife. Silver, strange symbols, a crown and a raven, royal. He cut the rope. Her arm dropped. Pain exploded. Then the other. She almost fell. He caught her, just for a second. "Do you have somewhere to go?" he asked. "No," she said. The truth hit harder than the ropes. "They took everything." He studied her deep, careful. Did you kill him? He asked. Octavia froze. Of all the questions, that one. I tried to save him, she said quietly. And it wasn't enough. Silence, then a single nod. What's your name? Octavia Blackwell. He paused. The air changed. My name is Soren Ashencroft. A beat. Then I was once a king. The world seemed to tilt, and for the first time the crowd that had laughed at her felt fear, because standing in the middle of that dusty square was not just a man, but something far more dangerous, something older, something that had once ruled the night. And Octavia realized her story wasn't ending here. It was just beginning. The town did not breathe when he said his name. Soren Ashencroft. The words hung in the air like a storm about to break. Caspian's face changed, just a flicker, just a crack in the perfect mask, but Octavia saw it, fear, real fear. You're making a mistake, Caspian said, stepping forward, voice controlled but tight. That woman is under lawful punishment. Soren didn't move, didn't raise his voice, didn't even look impressed. She is not yours to punish. Simple, cold, final, the kind of sentence that didn't ask permission. Caspian's jaw tightened. You have no authority here. This is a human matter. Soren tilted his head slightly. Then take it to a real court, not one built on blood and family favors. Silence, heavy, uncomfortable, the kind that makes truth louder than lies. Caspian's eyes flicked to the crowd. He was losing them, slowly, dangerously. People were whispering now, but not about Octavia, about him. You don't belong here, Caspian snapped. You abdicated, you are nothing. Soren's gaze sharpened. Nothing, he repeated softly. Then why are your men afraid to breathe? It was true. Deputy Fletcher looked like he might faint. One of the hired gunmen had already stepped back. No one wanted to be the first to move. Soren reached into his coat. The tension snapped tight. Hands moved to guns, breath held, but he only pulled out a folded document, held it up. My land lies beyond Broken Tooth Canyon, he said calmly. Recognized by the territorial office, which makes me your neighbor, Mr. Blackwell. Another ripple, another shift. Caspian swallowed it down, forced a smile. Even if that's true, this doesn't concern you. It does now. 3 words. And everything changed. I invoke right of sanctuary, Soren said, louder this time, for Octavia Blackwell. The words hit like thunder. Some didn't understand, some did, but everyone felt it. Power, old power, the kind that didn't come from courts but from something deeper. Caspian stepped closer. You think old legends matter here? This is not your kingdom. No, Soren said quietly. This is yours, and look what you've done with it. That hurt. That landed. Caspian's control slipped for just a second. Then he smiled again. This isn't over. Soren met his eyes. No, it's not. For a moment it felt like violence would explode right there, but Caspian stepped back, turned, walked away. The door slammed behind him like a promise, and just like that the fight had begun. The ride out of town was silent. Dust followed them like ghosts. Octavia didn't look back. She couldn't, because everything she had built, everything she had loved was behind her. Burned, stolen, taken. Why did you help me? She finally asked. Soren didn't answer immediately. They rode through dry land, through heat that pressed down like a weight. Because I've seen what happens, he said at last, when no one does. That wasn't the full truth. She could feel it, but it was enough for now. They reached the ruins at sunset, stone walls, broken towers, a place that looked abandoned but wasn't. It stood above a thin stream, alive in its own quiet way. Home, Soren said simply. Octavia stared at it. This is where a king lives. I'm not a king anymore. Something in his voice made her believe him. Inside, the place was different, warm, lived in. A fire burned low, books lined the walls, not just a shelter, a retreat from the world, from himself. You can stay here, he said. There's a room upstairs, it locks. You think I'm afraid of you, she asked. Soren looked at her, really looked. You should be afraid of what I was, not what I am. That part he didn't say. They ate in silence, bread, stew, simple, but after days of hunger it felt like everything. Octavia's body began to shake, not from fear, from exhaustion finally catching up. Soren, she said softly, tell me the truth. He looked up. The real reason you helped me. The fire cracked. The wind whispered through stone. For a long moment he said nothing. Then 50 years ago I killed an innocent woman. The words landed heavy. She was accused of betrayal. The evidence was perfect, clean, clear. He laughed bitter. It was all a lie. Octavia didn't move, didn't interrupt. She had a daughter, he continued. 5 years old, she watched her mother die because of me. His hands tightened. I went to the child after to apologize, to explain. His voice broke just slightly. She said, "You're the king, you're supposed to know." Silence, deep, painful. "I abdicated the next day," he said, "walked away from everything." Octavia's chest tightened. "And today?" she asked quietly. Soren looked at her. "I saw that same look in your eyes. Not fear, not weakness, something worse, being wronged and no one caring. I couldn't let it happen again." Something shifted inside her, not trust, not yet, but something close. "Thank you," she whispered. "Don't thank me yet," he said. "This isn't over. I know." Her voice changed now, stronger, colder. "I'm going to take everything back." For the first time, Soren almost smiled. She woke before dawn, voices downstairs, urgent, tense. Moved quietly, listened. "He's moving fast," Delphine was saying. "Too fast." Octavia stepped down. "What happened?" Delphine turned, grave. "Caspian's taking your ranch." Her stomach dropped. "How? Fake law, fake ruling, doesn't matter. He's already sent men." "To do what?" Delphine didn't answer immediately. "Then burn it." The word hit like a bullet. "My home, there's more." Delphine pulled out a small object, a locket. Octavia froze. "Where did you get that?" "Your house, before they got there." Her hands shook as she opened it. Macia's face stared back, but something else, a seam, hidden. She pressed it. Click. A tiny folded paper fell into her hand. Her breath stopped. Macia's writing. "If you're reading this, I'm gone." Her heart pounded. "Deed with Sela's blood vault where crimson meets stone. Don't trust Caspian." Octavia read it again and again. "He knew," she whispered. "He knew." Soren stepped closer. "What's a blood vault?" she asked. His expression changed. Sharp. Focused. "Old magic, only blood can open it." "Where crimson meets stone." Delphine's eyes widened. "The cellar, red clay wall." Octavia looked up. Fire lit her gaze now. "He hid the deed." Soren was already moving. "Then we ride." They rode like death was chasing them, because it was. Smoke rose on the horizon, too early, too fast. Octavia's chest tightened. No, they reached the ridge, and she saw it, her home burning, flames eating everything, everything she had left, everything Macia's had built. Gone. Breath left her body. "They're still there," Delphine said. Soren dismounted. "How many entrances?" "Two." "Good, we move fast." Octavia didn't hesitate. "I'm going in." Soren looked at her 1 second, then nodded. The cellar was dark, close, alive with heat. Octavia ran her hands along the walls, stone, dust, nothing, then red clay. Her heart jumped. "Here." Soren pressed his hand. "It's sealed." "How do I open it?" "Your blood." She didn't hesitate. The knife cut her palm, sharp. Clean, she pressed it to the wall. Nothing, then light. The wall moved, opened, inside the truth, the deed, the journal. Her hands shook. "It's real." But when she opened the journal, everything changed. "You carry the crimson bloodline." Her breath stopped. "You are the source." The words blurred. "This isn't just land." She looked up at Soren. "It's power, real power. The kind men kill for." And suddenly everything made sense. The mine, the death, the lies. Caspian didn't just want land, he wanted her. For the first time, Octavia didn't feel weak. She felt dangerous, outside gunshots. "Move," Soren snapped. They ran, flames everywhere, men shouting, death closing in. A bullet passed her ear, too close. Then Soren moved faster than human, between her and death. And in that moment she realized the truth. This was no longer about survival, this was war. The first shot almost killed her. It sliced through the smoke, close enough to burn the air beside her face. Octavia didn't stop, she ran. Through fire, through heat, through the sound of men shouting her name like she was prey. "Stop her. Don't let her leave." Soren was already moving, not like a man, like something faster, something older. He stepped in front of the gunmen and everything changed. The men froze, not because of fear, because of instinct, predator. They felt it deep in their bones. "Move," Soren said, quiet, deadly. No one argued. For a second, just 1 second, it felt like he could end them all. But he didn't. Because that wasn't who he was anymore. "Ride," he snapped. Octavia jumped onto her horse. Delphine beside her. They didn't look back. They couldn't. Behind them, her home burned. Everything she had left of Macia's gone, but she held the truth now. The deed, the journal, the proof. And this time she would not lose. 3 nights later, the town changed. Not completely, not yet, but something had cracked. The women gathered in the back room of the Copper Rose, 12 of them, different ages, different lives. Same fire in their eyes. Octavia stood in the center, hands steady, voice stronger than it had ever been. "I have proof," she said. She placed the deed on the table. Silence. Then movement. Women leaned in, reading, understanding. "This is real," Adelaide whispered. "This destroys his claim." Not if Mordain blocks it, someone said. Then we go above him, Octavia replied. Her voice didn't shake, not anymore. We take it to Cheyenne, a risk, a dangerous one. Caspian would not let her walk away again. He'll come after you, Delphine said. Then I won't go alone. The room went quiet. One by one they nodded, because this wasn't just her fight anymore, it was theirs. The journey to Cheyenne was fast, hard, silent. Soren rode ahead, always watching, always listening, like danger was something he could smell. Why don't you drink human blood? Octavia asked suddenly. The question surprised even her. Soren didn't turn. Because I remember what it made me. And you still want it? A pause. Yes, honest, raw, but wanting something doesn't mean you should take it. Octavia studied him. A monster trying not to be one. A king trying to be human. Something inside her shifted again. Deeper this time, Cheyenne gave them hope and fear because truth lived there, but so did power. Sila's Morgate looked like death waiting, thin, weak, dying, but his mind sharp. Your husband protected you, he said. He placed the documents on the table, the real ones. Filed, official, untouchable. Octavia's breath caught. He knew. Yes, Sila said softly. He knew what his brother was, and then the twist. Caspian already came here. The room went cold. He tried to buy me, Silas continued. Then threatened me. Octavia's hands tightened. And now, Silas smiled weakly. Now I have nothing left to fear. That was when Soren stepped forward. I invoke Lex Sanguis. Silas looked up sharply. Vampire law, old law, powerful law. Enough to freeze everything, to force truth into the light. You're serious, Silas said. I am. A long silence. Then good, Silas whispered, because now he cannot run. They returned to Crimson Valley and everything exploded. Posters, whispers, fear, vampire, monster, she's corrupted. Octavia saw it, felt it, but this time she didn't break. Let them talk, she said. They'll listen when I speak. The town hall filled, every seat taken, every eye watching. Caspian stood like he owned the world, confident, untouchable. Octavia Blackwell, he began smoothly, has brought a vampire into our town. Enough. Her voice cut through him, clean, sharp, powerful. She stepped forward, not weak, not broken, not the woman tied to that wheel. 3 years ago my husband died, she said. I tried to save him. Silence. He died because of him. She pointed at Caspian. The room erupted. No, Caspian snapped. Then explain this. She held up the documents. The room shifted. Fear turned into doubt. Doubt turned into something dangerous. Truth. You killed your own brother, she said, and this time the town believed her. Caspian lost control. He walked out, but it wasn't over, not even close. 2 nights later he came back, with fire, with guns, with rage. Come out, he shouted, or I burn everything. The doors shook. Women stood ready, weapons in shaking hands, but they stood together. And then Soren dropped from the roof, like death itself. This ends now, he said, the street filled. Marshal, townspeople, witnesses, truth. Caspian looked around, trapped, outnumbered, finished. He could have surrendered, he didn't. He threw the torch, fire exploded, chaos, and then he aimed the gun at Octavia. Time slowed, she saw it, knew it, this was the end, but Soren moved too fast, too sudden. The shot rang out and Soren fell. No, Octavia screamed. She dropped beside him, blood, dark, wrong, silver, he whispered. Death, real death. Sorry, no, she said. No, 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 her mind raced. The journal, the ritual, blood redemption. This is it, she whispered. He shook his head weakly. Too dangerous. I don't care. She cut her palm, pressed it to his chest. Octavia, light exploded, blinding, burning, beautiful. She felt it, her life leaving, years, time. Everything she could have had gone, given freely for him because he had done the same, because he had chosen her. And now she chose him. The light faded. Silence. Soren gasped. Real breath, warm breath, human. I can feel it, he whispered. Tears filled his eyes. For the first time I feel alive. Octavia collapsed, weak, shaking, but smiling. Worth it, she whispered. Caspian tried to run. He didn't get far. A shot rang out, clean, final. Aldous Blackwell stood there, rifle smoking. That was for my son. Caspian fell, dead, and just like that it was over. 6 weeks later the truth won. The ranch was hers. The law stood. The lies burned. And Crimson Valley changed, slowly, painfully, but it changed. Months later they stood on the porch, new home, new life, built from ash. Marry me, Octavia said. Soren froze. You're sure? I don't want who you were, she said. I want who you chose to become. Silence. Then, yes, years passed, love grew, pain faded, a child was born, a future built, not perfect, but real, and one evening older, weaker, but peaceful, Octavia sat beside Soren. Do you regret it? He asked. Years you gave me, she smiled. Not for a second. Because she had learned something the world tried to hide, that love is not safe, justice is not easy, and standing up costs everything. So now I ask you, if you were Octavia, would you give up 20 years of your life to save someone you love? Or would you choose to live longer and let them die? Tell me in the comments. And if this story moved you like this video, subscribe, because stories like this don't just entertain, they remind us what it really means to be human.